Can you believe white is totally winning here with only 2 rooks versus a queen plus a knight? If you're greedy and start thinking about taking this poor knight, you're gonna lose this game because your friend is gonna check, you're gonna have to move the king, and he's gonna grab your rook, and you're totally lost with white. But you had an amazing position and you were winning with white. Start with this check. This king has only 1 square to go to. And now, what if I tell you that you are not moving these rooks for the next 4 moves? Yes, just your king. And every time, it will be a discovery check. With this rook first, checking this king. You see, the problem your friend has is that he can never go on this square. Otherwise, you check. He moves and you check again. And his queen is free of charge here. So this king has to go the other way. And as I told you, move the king again. This rook is checking now. He goes up, you go down, again giving a check with the other rook. And when he comes back, do you see these 2 pieces being so inactive and useless? Just watching this poor king get mauled by that rooks. How do you win the queen now? Another king move, giving a check with this rook, and it would be checkmate if this queen wasn't here. So the only move that black can play here is cover with the queen. You take it, and now you still have one problem, this knight. But I have another trick for you. Whenever you see a knight on the corner, remember that if you put your rook in diagonal 2 squares above, like this, the knight is trapped. He cannot go here and he cannot go here. And all you have to do now is bring your king very slowly. I know it's cruel, but we need to get rid of this knight to win the game. Do you know that a queen is worth 9 points and a rook only 5? Of course you do. But then how come you struggle to win when you have a queen versus a rook in this position? Is it winning? Yes, of course, but it's tricky if you don't know the right technique. Otherwise, all you'll do is go in circle. It's an endgame. You get bored. You know why? Because you have no patterns in your head you can apply here. But don't worry, we're gonna fix this today. Rule number 1, make sure you push this king to a corner. You will need both your king and the queen to achieve this. When he checks, make sure to go to this square, a square where he doesn't have any other check. So he retreats. And now the only thing you should think about is reduce the mobility of these 2 pieces with this move. Let me guess, in your games, all you care about is checking with your queen, but trust me, this won't make you win the game. He moves the king, and now, where can you put this queen to reduce the mobility of black's pieces? Queen b5, of course. Now this king is trapped on the edge. The rook moves, and if you try to bring your king closer, all your friend has to do is give you checks on these 3 columns, because you can never come to this square, because otherwise there would be this check winning the queen. So king c6 is not the right move. Instead, we start step number 2, which is totally counterintuitive. Start giving checks. The reason why we give checks is to manage to be able to put the queen in the center of the board, like this. Why on this square? Because the queen is controlling a potential check with the rook when we start advancing with our king. If he checks like this, it's hard to believe, but you have a checkmate in 5 moves here. Try to find it and pause the video if you want. You go king c6, you go closer. He gives another check. Now you can go on c7 and you understand why this queen is here. This queen is controlling actually this check here. You are also threatening checkmate on the next move. So the only move here is to play rook b6, trying to control this square. But this is a disaster for black because now all you have to do is spin the rook to the king. But you have to be careful because he's gonna have some tricks by playing this move. Make sure you don't take the rook with your queen, please. Otherwise it's a stalemate, and I'm sure it happened to you many times. Instead, take with the king, and then the king comes here, and that's an easy checkmate in 1 move. You just played the best game of your life in the middle game, but you end up in this position, ready to mess it up. You have everything going for you. This king is totally stuck. This rook is ready to start checking him. These two pieces are super passive, but the problem is, if you're below 1000, you see a check, you do it. He moves his king, and now you start thinking, easy win. I just check here, he moves the king, I give another check with the rook, he moves the king again, and all I have to do is just come here with my queen, the rook being here, and checkmate. But then you try moving this queen, and you realize that this queen is pinned to the king and cannot move. You usually have very little time left at this stage of the game, so you panic and protect your queen instead. Your opponent gives this check, you move your king, and here you're gonna quickly realize that it's too late for you because black has a forced checkmate in 11 moves. Rook check, king moves, queen check, king moves, rook check, 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 check. And it's the end of suffering for this poor little king being checkmated like this. But wait, you were totally winning with white here. The winning technique is super beautiful. The first trick is to get rid of this pin. Give this check. King moves, and now give this check. Do you see what this does? This queen is not pinned anymore. So this allows you to give this check next. He moves, and now you start thinking that he's checkmate on the next move. You're gonna be disappointed because now this rook is totally pinned by the queen and cannot move. And this is where trick number 2 happens. All you have to do is unpin this rook. But moving the king won't work because he's gonna start giving you checks non-stop and you're not gonna be able to win with white. Let's go back for a second. The trick here is to bring this queen to this square, like this, which would totally unpin the rook. If the queen is here, this rook is not pinned anymore. And the way to do this is to use the zigzag technique. Check. This king can only go back and forth. Check. Check. And now, by pure magic, this rook is not pinned anymore after this check. The king moves, and you're ready to smash him with the hug of death. Magnus is playing with the black pieces, and he's 2 pawns up in this queen endgame. But let me tell you something, if you're under 1500, I think you're capable of having 3 possible results here. You could win, sometimes by chance, you could draw, but you could also lose this position. Let me first show you how you lose. You suddenly decide to exchange the queens. Your opponent just takes it, you push your pawn, and you totally forgot that he just comes with the king and stops the pawn, and now you are in trouble because this pawn is totally unstoppable and becomes a queen. Now let me show you how you draw in this kind of position. You see a pawn here ready to queen, so you try to control it by playing this move. Now suddenly he gives you this check. You move the king. Now he gives you this check, you come back. Now you decide to go to this square, trying to escape this way. And suddenly he takes your pawn. You take his pawn and he takes this one, checking your king. And this position is a theoretical draw. But Magnus found a way to win in just 2 moves here. And it's super important that you know the pattern. Start with this check. The king cannot go to this square. Bringing the queen here would lose on the spot. All you have to do is take the queen, and when the king takes the queen, this pawn is unstoppable. So the only move that white can play here is move the king. And now there is an amazing and very important trick that you must know in queen endgames. Is this brilliant move. If the queen takes the pawn, now you check and you win the queen on the next move. So taking the pawn is not an option. In the game, his opponent went with this check. Magnus was ready for this kind of move, and he can just cover with his queen. Again, you cannot take the queen. All Magnus has to do is just take, and this pawn is totally unstoppable, and he's gonna queen on the next move. It could go like this. You both push, and then this pawn gets stopped by this queen, and Magnus would have won this way. You see, after playing this move, you're threatening to actually queen on the next move. So the queen cannot go to any square because you're just gonna queen and win the game this way. If the queen takes the queen and the king takes, now this pawn queens on the next move. And again, if his opponent takes the pawn, you have again this same check. The king moves and you grab the queen. But wait, what if I give you 2 rooks now, and your friend has the queen? Do you know who's winning? 5 plus 5 equals 10, right? The queen is 9, remember? So white should be winning. But how? I'm sure the first thing you saw is this check. The king comes down, and then you saw this check. Your friend won't go to these squares, he's not dumb to let you checkmate him on the next move. Instead, he's gonna play this move. And now what? Let me tell you what you did. you destroyed your advantage because this queen is about to check this king non-stop. And this king can never hide. There are no pawns on the board. Let's go back for a second and see what you missed. I want you to give a check with the rook that is the most far away from the king. He plays the same move. Now give a check with the other rook. When he goes down, the position looks similar, but it's not. You have a killer move here. Try to find it. A rook sacrifice, of course. If the queen takes, check, and this check wins the queen. But your friend will see this. I hope for him at least. He also knows that if you move this queen somewhere, you want to actually checkmate by playing this move on the next move. So he'll play this move, trying to control actually this square so you don't checkmate on the next move. And it seems like he's doing fine now because he's gonna be able to check your king non-stop. Are you sure black is fine here? He's not fine if he's playing a Chesscape subscriber who knows this rook sacrifice now this way. And when the queen takes, check and give me the queen, you don't need it.